Hello and welcome to another episode of the Culture Hour. My name is Serena Smith, the proud owner of Premier Rapport, where everything is workplace culture related. Remember, culture isn't built in a day, culture is built every day. Today, I'm excited to bring you a recent grad from Virginia Tech. Welcome, Serena Smith, a 2020 grad from Virginia Tech, Pamplin College of Business. She got her degree with a double major in management and marketing with a concentration in entrepreneurship and innovation technology. Since graduation, she's accepted a role with Target as an executive team leader. At the age of 16, she also received her nail license. She earned her nail license as a nail technician with a long-term goal of becoming a shop owner herself and perhaps even a fleet and a franchise. So welcome, Serena.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to have you on today. You know, one of the common themes that people call me about is around recruitment and internships, and certainly working with higher education, the universities. With everything COVID happening, it really seems like this was the appropriate time to bring you on and to talk about, we're going back almost a year when you had an internship with Target between your junior and senior year. So I would love for you to talk to the listeners and the viewers about that experience.
Yeah, so you can kind of lead me in the direction that you want me to go in, but I can only speak on my personal experience and not everyone's internship experience at Target itself. I was really blessed to be the only one in my district to be the intern, so there was a lot of focus on me, which was great for me. It's a 10-week program where I rotated through all of the departments. So there is general merchandise or logistics. They run the trucks, the grocery store sides of the Target, the cafes, Starbucks, all the seasonal things, toys, all that kind of stuff. My store, we set everything on the hard floor, the tile floor, and then there's specialty sales, which was everything on like carpet. So that's clothing, electronics, and like makeup and beauty. Then there was guest experience and services. They deal with the front end of the store, all things customer service related, all the checkout lanes, guest services, things like that, and then HR. So rotated through each of those for 2 weeks, and then I had a option at the end of the internship where I got to kind of spend more time in the programs that I liked the most. For me personally, that was the logistics side of the store and the guest service side of the store. Prior to working at Target, I worked in nail salons, so I was already really good at the customer service aspect, so I wanted to be able to still do that. But I also really like the organization and the literally like a to-do list of things with logistics. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell of what the internship looked like.
So let's talk more about the internship program itself. Let me just ask you a short series of questions to kind of help you break down answers that would really aid people who are listening to set up their internship programs or maybe further modify them. So number one, correct me if I'm wrong, but there were recruiters from Target that actually came intentionally to Virginia Tech. Is that how you originally were introduced?
Yes. So, um, I originally met a recruiter at Target through an inclusion dinner that the Pamplin College of Business hosts every semester. Sometimes it's lunch, sometimes it's a dinner, and met a recruiter there. And he was not the official recruiter for Virginia Tech, but he used to work in the Christiansburg store right next to it. So he came quite frequently, and we spent the entire time talking, which was really great. He was super chill guy, and he kind of introduced me to my own recruiter, the official recruiter for Virginia Tech at the time. And I added him on LinkedIn, and that was my fall of my sophomore year, I believe. And every event after that, he was always there. I talked to every time we had a company fair. They were there. I'd always stop by the booth. He remembered me. And everyone who ever looked at my resume, and when I was, doing my elevator pitch, they're like, "You've been here before. There was something about you." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm the nail tech." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I remember seeing that on your resume."
So
So
they found that was it interesting from the customer service or the fact that you were a college student who already was a licensed tech? Tell me more about what was that intrigue. Do you know?
I think it was just something that was really unique
Okay.
because not everybody, but all of the resumes kind of look the same. And they
Yeah.
say recruiters spend just a few seconds looking at it,
Yep.
especially at business fairs. The one at Virginia Tech called Business Horizons um, has like 100+ companies, and there's thousands of students there.
Okay. So
And it's
that
an all-day event. So they don't have a lot of time. So having something bold at the top really probably caught their attention
grabbed
when
their
everyone
attention.
is.
Well, for those of you who are looking for a job, that is actually a really good tip to make sure that you have something unique on there. Not to suggest that everybody needs to go be a licensed nail tech, but you kind of get the point. Okay, so coming back to your experience. So along the way, they were intrigued, you were intrigued, you end up applying, you get it. Once they sent you out the offer to become an intern, tell us a little bit more about the package or the communication that you received. And then I want to move into you mentioned rotating through numerous departments within a 10 or 12 week period every couple of weeks. So first, can you tell the viewers and listeners the type of either emails and or actual material that you got that made you get even more excited about the role?
Yeah, so before I get into it, there is some background noise. So sorry, viewers. I have two dogs, little puppies running around. So
No
just
problem.
put that
Every
out
day's
there.
happening.
um, so most of my communication prior to actually starting was with my recruiter from Virginia Tech, back and forth. And then I was in communication briefly with the HR director for the district, and then the individual person in charge of HR at the location that I was at. Um, so um, at orientation, I got a packet of all the information that I would needed, breakdown of what weeks I'd be working with who and what department, and my feedback sheets. I had a feedback session every single hour, or every week, with the HR person at the store. We set my goals for the week, talked about how I did, what I need to improve on, things that I should be looking for, and things like that. That happened every week, and so that was laid out for me. And then I also met with the store director. I believe it was every 2 or 3 weeks. I had a total of 3 meetings with him, one-on-one. It was kind of the same deal. What I was doing really well, what I needed to work on, what he was like noticing for me. He helped try and like focus in on what my leadership style was, and that was a lot of what our meetings were focused around. And I also had a project during the internship, and for us in Virginia, we have a tax-free weekend, which a lot of people do back to school shopping for. So I helped him in planning that out. So that's kind of a lot
That's
of that.
that's a lot. That's a lot happening in a very short time frame. I mean, I have to applaud Target for pulling that together. Obviously, they are clear and organized. So just to kind of recap the things that you just said. Number one, there was a recruiter that you were first put in touch with at your university. Number two, they engaged in conversation. Number three, one of the things about your resume that caught their eye initially was your uniqueness on your resume of being a licensed nail tech, as well as obviously a college student getting a double major. Then you started getting communication packets, emails, phone calls, and flow. And then your internship was broken down very intentionally between departments every couple of weeks. And then the next thing I heard you say, which is critical, is the feedback loop. And I heard you say that it was a two-way feedback, or if I didn't hear you say, that was kind of my interpretation, that they were
Mhm.
asking you and giving you specific feedback of what was on point, and then they were also asking you for input, and they were developing you as a leader along the way. Am I getting all of those things
Yep.
kind of?
Mhm.
So that was a lot in, like I said, a 2 to 3 month time frame. Pretty impressive. What are some was there any big takeaway that you want to share, or word to the wise, or wisdom for those that are listening, again, to either looking to become an intern, if you're an employer who is setting up an internship, or you've got an internship and you're like, oh gosh, we don't do that, maybe we should add that. So what advice or takeaways do you have from yours at Target?
Yeah. So, first, I would say to those looking for internships is to apply to a lot of different places, especially in the time that we're in now. That's the reality is it's going to be a struggle to find something, and for a full-time job. Unfortunately, that is what our economy is looking like right now. I personally had a lot of friends, internships be shortened, go virtual, or just are gone completely, and same things with job offers. So definitely apply to a lot of places. And sometimes I think an internship is a good place to learn what you like to do, and what you want to do. So if you also have the opportunity to get more than one internship, if you get them your sophomore year, your freshman year, that'd be like amazing. Being able to look at different companies, or even doing externships, which are much, much shorter, normally varies from like a day to like 3 days maybe. Um, do that, get a sense of what you like. So that's super, super important. Have a variety. You can also use that as leverage if you are looking at pay or location or whatever it may be, benefits of some sort. You can be like, oh, well, I don't really want to work for this company, but they'll give me A, B, and C, versus the company I really want to work for only gives me A. So maybe I can negotiate in some sort of way. So that's really important. And then from the company aspect, feedback is super important, especially in my generation. We like to know what we're doing well and what we need to improve on. Um, Ghosting us in the sense doesn't help. It lowers our motivation a lot. No one wants to be doing work that they don't know if they're doing right. Um, Also, we don't like busy work in an internship. uh we are interviewing you just as much as like you're interviewing us. So if you just have people faxing or copying or getting coffee, like, we're not getting anything out of that. So we don't know if we would want a job within that company. And also, you don't know our skills if you're just having us do little errands. So feedback and meaningful work is super important, for everyone, but specifically in Generation Z, it's key. No one wants to do busy work
No, I think
without
that's great.
direction.
Without direction. Well, as an older Gen Xer, I would say that I always wanted feedback too, and quite frankly still do. But to your point, I want it to be appropriate feedback as well. I want to know what I'm doing right, areas to improve, and how. Not just pointing out the error, to your point, but to say, how. I love that you said the store manager focused on the leadership piece of that. That's one thing, and I'm not sure if you'll agree or disagree, that you don't necessarily get a lot of exposure of that in college or in high school in projects from a leadership perspective. You may have opportunities to be project managers and to be ahead of a team, but not necessarily understand that difference between managing something and actually leading something, and understanding the difference in the inspiration versus getting the task done. Is that true, false? What are your thoughts around that comment?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think a lot of what I was doing, management style and leadership style, kind of went hand in hand. And it would be hard to separate the two, versus like a school project. We're not really managing anyone really, because we're all kind of equals,
Mm-hmm.
within school projects for the most part. There's always is somebody who steps up to the plate a little bit more than everyone else, and someone who always slacks, but you're all equals and you're not giving anyone direction. Versus in the workplace, I am giving people who were much older than me, as well as people who were a lot younger than me, directions in a new place. And since it was such a short period of time, you really had to jump in full force. So it's like you're there day 2 and you're telling people what to do, and it's kind of like, well, who the heck are you? So being able to like have him tell me it's okay to tell them what to do. Yes, they've been here for 20 years, but this is your role. Is definitely something
Yeah.
good.
Well, actually, you just confirmed my thought on that. Is that you've got to manage when you're in a like you said, a deemed boss position where you're getting things done, but you also have to learn the leadership style to inspire them because, as you said earlier, nobody likes to necessarily be told what to do. There's one thing that obviously we have tasks inside of our roles, but we also want to be inspired and feel like we are part of the team and we're appreciated. And then that's where that leadership, side begins to come in, the inspirational side, the difference between managing and leading, if you will. So in closing, with our wrap up, you definitely have given employers and prospective employees some thoughts around internship. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to share with the listeners or viewers, or any final thoughts or tips? I'll let you put a close on it.
So much I could say. Um, I guess from an employer standpoint, being flexible is really important to students looking for jobs and internships. Um, Giving time for us to respond is pretty critical. I know people who have accepted offers and regretted it because they had such a short period of times, or didn't accept an offer because they were waiting for something else and then ended up with nothing. So being flexible with our time in order to make really important decisions for our future is important, especially if like location is something that we have to take into consideration. Um,
Now, that's a really good
yeah.
that's a really good tip. So, meeting employers, if you're doing offers to interns, make sure that the recruiter has enough information about the intern that if they're not coming back to a city that they have a place to live, remember that the fee that you're offering them as an intern may not be enough. They may want the job and they want the experience and they're excited about your company, but they also have to weigh out all the living expenses. So just making sure, if I heard you correctly, Serena, understanding enough about the prospective intern to understand they might need a few days, to your point, to
Yeah.
figure that out, or to say, hey, do you have other locations? That's great information.
Yeah.
Anything else for a phasing closing comment?
Nothing that I can think of at the moment.
Well, we really appreciate you being on today. Again, internships is a great way for a prospective employee to understand, like Serena said, what it is they like and what they don't like, what it is that they like and don't like, not just from functionality, but inside of the walls of a company. Being recruited on and actually living inside of the walls of your company are completely different things. I love the advice that she gave on the commitment, the further clarification around feedback, and also the communication on an ongoing about how a person is going to spend their internship. So those are all great advice things. So appreciate you being on today. For those of you who do not know, Serena is also my daughter. I'm very proud of her and everything that she's accomplished in her young adult life. She's following in her mother's footsteps of entrepreneurship and leadership. So of course I love that. So I'm a proud mama too, and I appreciate her coming on and talking about her experiences, and hopefully you'll gain something out of that as well. That's it for today. We thank you for being on. Give us any feedback, any questions, any comments, like, share, subscribe to this podcast and the morning commute. And until then, be safe and have a great day. And remember, culture matters, but it starts with you. It starts with every single one of us. That's it. Thank you, Serena.
Thank you. Bye.